Hey there, YouTubers and subscribers, Rosebud17 here, and it's finally here, Volume 8 of Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest, Chapters 65 to 72. I know it's been a while since I did a review video on 100 Year Quest, but what can I say, I wanted to wait for the book card of the volume to release. Also discover how many chapters are in this volume thanks to the source of the Fairy Tale Wiki website. And before I get started, I would like to give a shout out to Alexandria and at lucyheartfjlja on the Twitter page. And I will explain my shout out reasons later in this video. Now, without further ado, let's get started with Chapter 65, Elantier. Now, intimately, this volume is going to start out with Chapter 64, Auto Spring, as it's listed in the Wiki website. But that filler chapter seems more like an ending of the previous volume than the beginning of this new one. This chapter felt more like a beginning with me in this volume, so I will start from there with the White Witch waking up Toka and discussing a place called, you guess it, Elantier. The White Witch uses the water spell Aqua Aura and then vanishes. Then it cuts to Lucy in the restroom still in her tower, wanting Natsu to buy clothes for her. Natsu refuses and just tells her to change in her spirit outfits. Funny, that's the second time he reminds her she can do that. But anyways, their bodies start to glow along with Gray, Urza, Wendy, Carla, and Happy as they're transported into an area where they can't use their magic. Yeah, there's one place where magic is non-existable, and that was Daedalus, and it's where it ended up at, and with further proof, there is the reintroduction of Daedalus Lucy. But before she came along, there is the introduction of this one character I thought I'd never see in the official manga. The fandom daughter of Natsu and Lucy, Nashi. Or in this case, she is called Nasha, who is the daughter of Daedalus Lucy and Daedalus Natsu, and they are not the only ones. Daedalus Gray and Daedalus Juliet end up having a son whose name I cannot pronounce, so I will call him Greg. Then at the end of the chapter, it's the White Witch realizing that she's in the wrong place and can't use magic. Now in the next chapter, there is a reintroduction to Hugh, Sugarboy, Coco, Mitsugan, and last but not least is Urza Nightwalker, who became Mitsugan's, I don't have a good description of that kind of relationship. But by the look of this panel, she seemed to become a servant to Mitsugan and willing to achieve punishment for the things that appeared unappreciated to her. Lucky her king isn't the violent type, unlike her who punished people for approaching her king. But moving on. Natsu and the crew want to discover how they came into Ellis, and Mitsugan replies that the animal that got them there to Ellis before hasn't appeared in the last 9 years. Therefore, it has to be someone from Earthland since Ellis is completely drained of magical powers. Carla believes it could be Nextseed, which could be the only possibility. But then Mitsugan mentioned the world Elantier, and also the moondragon god Selene, which learned has the power to cross dimensions. Okay, I have learned a little things about Selene and her abilities with the stars and the moon, but has the power to cross dimensions? This woman's got my attention. In Chapter 67, it is discovered that Elantier is a world that is overflowing with magic power. Then right in the middle of their conversation, the little cat Toka appeared right through a water barrier and greeted Happy. Toka claims that she came from Elantier and tells her story about her encounter with the White Witch and how she entered her body. And the crew learned that it was the White Witch who sent them to Daedalus by mistake. Later, after saying their farewells and retrieving the X-Ball from Mitsugan, Natsu and the crew end up running into the White Witch, who turns out to be a priestess from Daedalus named Ferris, and her purpose was to save her world from Selene. Oh yeah, she also explained that she's not 100 years old and she just took the name of White Witch from a rebellious culture or something, like I don't understand. So I let you figure that one out. And feel free to leave a comment on the topic. Anyway, moving on to the next chapter, we get a brief background of Ferris and her role as a priestess who has the ability to erase magic. She said for generations her family has been erasing the overflow magic from Elantier. Then that is where she encounters Selene, who wants Ferris to erase Earthland's magic powers and decided to claim the overflowing magic world for herself. But Selene's true goal was to get rid of the other dragons, so having Ferris take away their magic power was part of the plan. Talk about an unfair fight. Speaking of the devil, she shows up and reveals that she has no interest in the other dragons or Earthland. Talk about a sadist. Natsu jumps into action attacking Selene as she transforms into her dragon form, and then she transfers everyone into Elantier at the end of the chapter. Now with the group inside Elantier, Irene managed to reveal herself from the overpowered magic, tells Wendy to be on her guard, and went back to sleep. But then the group gets separated by a giant hand that sends them into different places, with Natsu, Happy, and Gray in one area, Wendy, Kara, and Urz in another, and then Lucy's all on her own. Lucy didn't have her keys with her, so she couldn't really defend herself very well, but lucky for her, Or one of her spirit's Taurus managed to summon itself due to the world's overflowing magic. Now it cuts to Wendy and Urza coming across some strange entities and then revealing a woman named Yukito. So far this volume is an interesting one because the more I read it, the more I'm intrigued by these chapters. It is later discovered the area Wendy and Urza ended up to is not of magic power but spiritual arts, which achieves energy known as spiral. Thanks to Irene's knowledge and guidance, Wendy enchanted Urza's sword with spiritual powers, allowing her to slice through the enemies, and the two moved forward until Yuko revealed herself to them. Now, with Natsu and Gray in a snowy storm, they encountered a woman named Hakune, who wants to kill all men. And then with Lucy and Taurus, they end up running into a giant woman! Now, in this chapter, they gives out the shout out to Alexandria and lucyheartfjlja because of their well-detailed analysis on a certain issue that's been bugging the hell out of me since I laid eyes on the panel in this chapter. And that is, seeing Natsu surrounded by women that makes him look like he has a harem. This happens because of Hakune's snow magic that creates clones from the depths of their hearts. Now, this both confused and pissed off Nalu fans because I have read on a Twitter page that people are saying that Natsu has no romantic feelings for Lucy because of this panel. Hell, one of the YouTube reviewers named Soul Anime believes Natsu will end up with Lazana because he punched the Lucy clone away while Lazana is still hanging on to him. Talk about overreacting. Does he really think Hiramashi was going to change his decision about Nalu after it was confirmed? Because of one or two panels? I think not. I too had my problems, but I wasn't angry at this panel, I was just confused. But thanks to Alexandria and lucyheartfjlja's analysis on Twitter, it made things more clear, and I was happy to read them to you. Analysis number 1. The dolls were supposed to be women that he holds deep in his heart: Urza, Lazana, Wendy, Kana, Mira, and Lucy. Analysis number 2. There are all things that have been told to Natsu in the series and things he remembers saying to him at some point in time. Analysis number 3. Let's also take notice how Mira and Kana are there and they didn't say anything to Natsu, simply because he didn't have any special memories with them, which proves that these dolls restate things from his memories or things that he's been done or said to him before. Analysis number 4. The only one who acts completely out of character was Lucy. He's completely happy at how things are with everyone else in the guild, which is they're replicating things they already said before except Lucy. Analysis number 5. The only one he wants more from is Lucy. He wants more from their relationship that manifests in the snow dolls being more sexual, causing Lucy to act completely out of character, act the way he wishes her to. Analysis number 6. The three of them told Natsu things that he's heard before, and kinda like a factual things. This has been said to him in the past where Lucy says something she usually wouldn't, something he only hopes for her to say. Analysis number 7, which is why he gets annoyed and punches her first cause he knew the real Lucy would never say that. So it provokes him because it's like teasing his dreams. There you have it, all 7 analyses with thought out details and explanation due to what is happening in this one panel. Of course, Mashima had a different idea when he thought this up, but these two put their own ideas into the mix and gave out a very good conclusion, so good job, ladies. I also like the part where Natsu burned away the snow dolls after punching away the Lucy doll. Got me thinking to the point where he doesn't want to roast her even though she's fake, but it has no trouble burning the rest. And it gets me thinking about his feelings towards Lucy, and after he roasted them, he says they are the friends he loves. I should probably talk about the rest of the chapter. Urza, Wendy, and Lucy seem to be struggling against their foes and eventually failed. That's all I got, so let's move on. Now, in the last chapter of the volume, it starts out with Ferris and Toka heading out to the White Temple to visit the Great Priestess about their situation. Next cuts to Lucy fighting against a giant woman known as Mimi, using both her Stardust ability and summoning her spirits, but throughout her battle she seems to be struggling. But once Lucy summoned Capricorn, Mimi says something about his lack of strength that caught my attention. She tells Capricorn he lacks discipline, or correctly say that his summoner lacks experience, which I'm going to agree with Mimi on this one. Sure, Lucy does do training behind the scenes, but not as much as the others. When Capricorn said that Lucy's still maturing, it got me thinking of two things. One is that Lucy's just learning how to fight on her own strength, and 2, she's learning how to use her magic powers more properly. Both goals are achieving, but she's still struggling against her foes because she does lack experience as mentioned before. Not only that, but it also mentioned that Capricorn couldn't use his full power because Lucy's magic power is weaker than his. something I never knew about. I mean, I did get the idea if she summons more than 3 spirits at a time, it would drain her to the point where she passes out. I always thought that the strength between wizards and spirits grows stronger within the bonds they share, but a spirit can't fight to his fullest because the summoner has low stamina of their magic? That's news to me. I have seen Lucy summon all her spirits at once during the Loki arc, but here seeing her fail is underwhelming, especially in a world that's overflowing with magic power. I feel sorry for her when she's trying her best but fails, as tears come out feeling helpless and weak. But she's not alone in this. Natsu and Grey get captured due to Hakane's diamond effect spell freezing them in their place. Then Urza and Wendy were already taken out in the previous chapter. So things don't look too good for our heroes, but I know there's going to be a major comeback, so it's too disappointing for our leads. Then at the end of the chapter, Celine has an idea and tells her minions to bring him in alive. I'll have to say, this volume piqued my interest. From discovering the true identity of the White Witch, to having a battle with Celine's personal women soldiers, and seeing our main heroes getting their ass walled was a lot to take in. Also, seeing Irene again was a good impact with Wendy, and Natsu gaining a hero was problematic to me, but it was cleared up due to the analysis that was given. But the most trouble I've witnessed from this volume was Lucy's lacking experience, which I kinda understand since she's never really been the fighting type and has little training. In fact, most of the time throughout the series, she's either slacking off in her room or other things that's not related to training to become a better wizard. I know I'm being negative about this, but I'm just speaking my mind right now. I know Lucy has gone through hardship in fights that she rarely wins at, but due to her will to protect others and the confidence she gained from her previous event, I would've think she would have done better than what I witnessed. But I'm not gonna say anything else about Lucy's failed attempts since everyone else got their ass beat, which is more disappointing since Natsu, Grey, and Urza are the strongest in the group. Compared to those 3 defeated so easily, Lucy and Winnie got off scot-free. And I have nothing more to say on the matter, and I'll end the video here. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment on your thoughts on this volume, and want more updates, hit that notification button and subscribe. RoseRed17 out.